Hi, thanks for the invitation to speak today. I hope you've all had a chance to use Grab, either here in Singapore or elsewhere in one of our 6 countries. Grab is Southeast Asia's leading ride-hailing app, and we operate in Singapore, Malaysia, Jakarta, Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines. And we're actually a social startup. So I'll be talking to you today about one of our most exciting projects that we're doing in partnership with the World Bank. It's a smart data project called Open Traffic. So just to give you a bit of background, because people sort of ask, well, why are you giving data away? Right? It's quite a commercially valuable thing that we have. So Grab was actually started by 2 Harvard Business School students. They were from Malaysia. They met at HBS, and they had both noticed similar problems in the Malaysian taxi industry at the time. You know, problems with safety, problems with haggling, drivers not using the taxi fare, and then a fundamental mismatch between supply and demand. So there were long lines of taxis waiting for passengers, and then elsewhere there were long lines of passengers waiting for taxis. So they said, well, we can probably leverage technology to solve this problem. And Grab was started with a social mission in mind. We wanted to collaborate with governments to improve public transport, traffic jams, and road safety. We want to significantly improve the livelihoods of Grab drivers and provide a safe service for passengers. And we wanted to offer our smart data, eventually, the smart data that we had to governments to improve public transport. So with this in mind, Grab was founded, and we've grown quite a bit in the past 4 years. We've just celebrated our 4th anniversary. So this is what it looks like if you haven't used it before. You know, you enter your pickup point, your drop-off point, and then you pick one of our services. So depending on which country you're in, we have a combination of different modes that you can pick. We've got Grab Taxi in all of our countries, so you can book the nearest taxi. Grab Car, which is a private hire car service. Grab Bike, which is quite a fun ojek service. I don't know if you've seen them in Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines. They're quite common. And then we have Grab Express in the countries that Grab Bike is in. So Grab Express is basically a small parcel delivery service. These are the current figures on where we're at the moment in terms of business impact. So we've got over 270,000 drivers across the region. When I started back in February last year, I think we had 70,000. So, I mean, that's a phenomenal growth in just over a year. You know, we're in 30 cities. When I started, I think it was 15. And we have over 15 million app downloads. And when I started in February last year, I think it was about 7 million. And then we have over 95% market share of third-party taxi hailing apps, and just over 50% for the private hire car. So really, you know, we focus on safety. We've got a number of features in our app that ensure safety for passengers. Like you can send a link to your friends and family to allow them to track your ride in real time, make sure you get to the destination. You get an estimated fare, so that's quite important, particularly for tourists. And then you know whether you've got a taxi or not in under a minute. So, you know, if you're in a hurry and you don't get a ride, you can opt for a different transportation option. Now, Grab's drivers produce GPS data as they drive through the cities. And this map is basically not actually a map. It's all the GPS points that were produced in a section of Manila by our GPS drivers. And it's so rich, because the drivers are kind of constantly driving around, it's so rich that it actually looks like a map of the city. So back in, I think it was 2013, the World Bank had been trialling a platform in Cebu in the Philippines, and they were handing out phones to drivers, and they were trying to collect data from those phones to basically determine travel speeds and traffic congestion. And then they saw us growing, and they said, well, maybe we should partner with these guys because they've got drivers on their network and they're doing this anyway. So they approached us and we decided to partner with them for open traffic. Open traffic is a traffic data platform that's provided to governments for free through Grab's exclusive partnership with the World Bank. The platform code is actually open source, but of course it needs data in there to generate those traffic insights, and that's what we're providing. We're feeding real-time GPS data into the platform. So by GPS data, I mean longitude, latitude, timestamp, and vehicle ID. And then open traffic produces real-time traffic analytics, journey times, travel speed, and traffic congestion, enabling governments to improve traffic jams and road safety. So how does it work? It relies on a system called OpenStreetMaps. And what OpenStreetMaps allows you to do is, OpenStreetMaps is basically a crowdsourced map of different cities. And what it allows you to do is produce virtual detectors. So kind of like the physical traffic detectors that measure the speed of a vehicle on the road. This is actually a virtual version of that. And then our GPS points are used to calculate the travel time and speeds as they move between those detectors. And those then are converted into a visual of traffic congestion and actually data that can be exported from the platform. So just briefly, this project wouldn't have been possible without, of course, telecom operators to enable the data to be generated. And it's quite a game changer for these governments, right? The strong connectivity is also needed in order for the government to implement the platform. So this was something that emerged as a bit of a gap. So some of the government agencies didn't have very good internet connection, and they had to actually upgrade their connection in order for the platform to work. The third thing is, this is probably one of the most exciting parts of this platform. We're providing an API for the open traffic platform. And the governments they're going to be running hackathons to develop applications that can use this data. One of the most exciting applications that's being developed by the Philippines National Police is a database of traffic accidents. So not just the Philippines National Police, but actually the Department of Health. So once a traffic accident happens, the open traffic data will be combined with that database to optimize the dispatch of emergency response units. So we're expecting that to sort of be rolled out in the coming year. Okay, so I'll just very quickly run through some of the analyses that governments can do using this data. And one of our government stakeholders mentioned that it's like moving from pen and paper to Excel. They were waiting for this. They're waiting for this data, and they didn't have it. And it saved them money, it saved them time, and it's given them very rich data as well. So they used to do travel time surveys, and this would take 25 days from sort of data collection to analysis. And now they can get similar data in about 10 minutes through this platform. Very intuitive to use. It took us only 4 hours to train each government officer, and the training can be delivered en masse. So it's that's a massive cost and resource saving. You can also figure out, well, how vulnerable are your roads to things like weather events? And then in the Philippines, they mentioned, well, if there's a massive sale on, some of the roads get congested. So in some of the bigger malls, if there's if the entire mall is having a sale, they can figure out which roads are likely to be congested, and then they can develop alternate routes for people to get to those sales. So this is an example. I think there was an accident on the northbound journey on the EDSA. This is the EDSA, one of the main roads in Manila, and then the southbound trip isn't that congested. So they can see, what effect those accidents or other events have. You can figure out, well, when is peak hour actually in your city? So these aren't at the same scale, but Singapore has pretty beautiful traffic throughout. So you travel at about 50 throughout the day, 50 kilometers per hour throughout the day in Singapore. whereas in Jakarta, unfortunately, quite bad traffic throughout. So you travel at, yeah. Unfortunately, like when people are sleeping, you travel at about 40 kilometers, and then it drops to about 25, 28 throughout for most of the day. KL's kind of better. Manila's not too bad. So I mean, you can figure that out at a pretty precise level. You can make decisions based on that. And then finally, sometimes traffic congestion is not so bad if you know that it's going to be there and if you know how long it will take you to travel, because then you can plan. The fourth kind of analysis they can do on this is to figure out, well, if I leave at 7 a.m. every day, how likely is it that I will reach at the same time every day if I'm going to the same destination every day? So as you can see, in Manila, along this particular route, it can take you anywhere between 10 minutes and 210 minutes. So it's it's pretty rough. So I think in this way governments can sort of hopefully make some routes more predictable for people. Okay, so this is the driver platform that I was talking about earlier. This is dummy information, this is not real information, but basically they'll be able to take this platform, merge it with the travel speed information, and then very efficiently deploy ambulance services, police services, fire services to the accidents. And then they looked at, the sort of opportunities are, the potential is pretty great. So as APIs, as the API is provided and applications are developed, we'll see very interesting uses of this platform. But some of the immediate uses are that the governments can optimize traffic signal timings based on this data and ease the traffic jams. They can improve public transit routes and schedules. So in Manila, they're looking at, optimizing the bus routes, jeepneys, and you can also identify and validate roadway infrastructure needs. So if you build an overpass, you can see, well, did that have an impact on traffic congestion? Then the emergency response units and generally also managing travel demand. So this was our launch in Manila. People were very excited to have this platform, so we had quite a number of guests from government, media and academia come. And then, they were starting to think about, well, how can we use this? And they were talking about, well, one way to use it would be to create policies that can cut travel time, and they could do things like even hand out public transit licenses based on the traffic congestion patterns. All right, that's it from me. So if you haven't used Grab, I hope you have a chance to. There's a lot of information online about this project as well. Please take a look. There's some fun facts as well that we shared based on the insights that we got from Manila. So things like, I think best time to travel in Manila is 4 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. Yeah. That's right. Great. Thank you.